Hey, I'm Andy and this is my YouTube channel dedicated to weekly jazz guitar lessons to help you practice with purpose. Today's lesson is all about playing more interesting things over the one chord. The dominant chord is often seen as the chord where all the fun is to be had in terms of making interesting sounds, but it doesn't have to be that way. I used to really bore myself with my own playing over the one chord, predictable, familiar sounding lines, no tension, thinking, oh, there's got to be more to it than this, and there can be. We're going to take a look in this lesson at what other arpeggio substitutions you can stick over that one chord to make it harmonically richer and give your lines more interest. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and joining me every Wednesday for weekly jazz guitar lessons. Now, onto the lesson. Why can the one chord be a bit of a challenge to solo over, or a challenge to make things sound interesting? For me, it's the most stable chord in the harmonization of the major scale. In terms of using arpeggios, if you just play the arpeggio of the chord, so take C major 7, and we just played C major 7 over it, it will sound like this. That sounds fine, and that's obviously something you can use, but it's predictable, it's safe. So we're going to go through a few different options with arpeggios that we can use. We're going to use C as an example, so in the background we've got a C major 7 chord playing on the piano, and I'm going to play different arpeggios against it so you can get an idea of what sort of sounds you can create over the one chord instead of your predictable, the arpeggio of the one chord. My way of using outside sounding stuff is, you can obviously start outside, but I really like the sound of going in, out, in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play C major, or either a C major triad or C major 7 arpeggio, then the arpeggio substitution, and then back to a note of C. So the first arpeggio we're going to use over the top is an F sharp minor 7 flat 5. So this is built off the tritone, the flat 5 of C, F sharp, and that would sound like this. So going C, E, G, F, linking to F sharp, A, C, E, C. Here, major 7, so C major 7, F minor 7 flat 5, down to C major 7, or however you want to weave into the C again. Next one, E minor 7, so you can play over a one chord, a minor 7 arpeggio built off the major 3rd, giving you a major 9 sound, sounding like this. This is a less outside sounding one, but it is interesting. We could just play over that, not resolved to the C. What about, because it's not as tense, let's start with the E minor 7, then move to C. Next one, A minor 7, so you can play a minor 7 arpeggio built off the 6th of the chord, in this instance A, creating a major 6 sound. E minor 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, finish on a note in C. Quite like that. A minor 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to C. Another common thing you can do is pretend that the dominant chord is there, so it's going 1 5 1. So like C, G7, back to C. This next one is probably one of my favourite ones, and it's going to, in this instance, F minor. So F is the 4th chord in C, and a very common thing in music is to go, say, C, and then go to F, and then maybe F minor for an emotional sound, then back to C. Call it the minor 4. And if we go something like C, F minor, we go F minor 7 as I did there, which is quite cool. Against the chord that will sound like so. What about this, going F minor, C, G, C, so like, that's quite cool. So that created the sound of F minor, C, G7, C. So a lot more than just C, 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 C. Along those lines, there's a really cool sort of finishing phrase I like, which is C triad, F minor 6 with some chromatic finish on the approach notes on the C. So that's like C, F minor 6, C. Bit gypsy jazz-esque, I think. Chromaticism is obviously such an important thing with jazz, and you can do it with your arpeggio. So instead of, thinking C for 2 bars, you could go C, D flat, C. So like, so that's C, up C, down D flat, down a C and back up. B also, so a semitone below. So that's just over a C. We had F sharp minor 7 flat 5. We had E minor 7, A minor 7. We also had F minor 7 or F minor. We had D flat, so a semitone above C. And then we had B. But I was just using triads there. I wasn't using sevenths or anything, so I was using a D flat triad and a B triad. I kept that very simple. I would accept that it does sound a bit exercise-like, and it's over to you to make them musical. I just wanted you to hear them really strongly, as in what I was using. You could take it another level by adding in different rhythms, mixing different rhythms, adding in techniques and rests and so forth to make it really stand out in your playing and sound musical. Why does this all work, all these arpeggios over the C? Well, for me, arpeggios or triads are really strong structures that we're so used to hearing. And it's almost like if you play anything convincingly, you can over a chord, like outside stuff, it can work, providing you resolve that tension. Some are more dissonant than others, some are sweeter sounding, but what they create is harmonic movement and flow in your playing, which is what you really want. You don't want something being stagnant and just staying where it is. The best sort of jazz improvisers for me, there is that harmonic movement of going back and forth and taking the listener on a journey, which you can do by chucking other chords and arpeggios over a chord, particularly when you've got, say, 2 bars or even 4 bars on one chord. Moving on to how you can practice this, well, you need to get used to the rules first. So say that first one I did, which was F sharp minor 7 flat 5 over a C. So the rule there is that you can play a minor 7 flat 5 chord built off the tritone interval over a 1 chord. So if we took the chord G major 7 or a G, the tritone is D flat, so we could play D flat minor 7 flat 5 over the G. What I would then do is just lay down one chord like I had going there, like a C, either with a looper or with just a backing track on YouTube. If you just Google static backing track C major 7 or whatever major 7 chords you want, you'll find them out there. And then just try the different options and try sort of start with C, go to the arpeggio substitution and back to C, or try starting on the substitution and then going to C. Just see how it feels. And like I started to do in some of those there, combine the different options. So like we combined, E minor 7 to F sharp minor 7 flat 5 and then to C. That's going to create really strong lines. Important thing, consider the character and the sound of the intervals as you play them. Try to absorb the sounds, sing them as you play them, hum them, whatever, but you want to be playing with hearing it. And so if you do this work whilst you're practicing them and you sing and you hum them, you really think about what you're hearing, then it will have a payoff when you come to improvise. If you liked today's video, then you would definitely like my video on how to play outside on the 251. I'll link that up on the description. There's also a link up to subscribe. Join me every Wednesday where I help you practice with purpose. I hate the idea of people sitting down to practice and not know how to approach what they're doing. Being deliberate about how you're approaching things and thinking about all the musical elements that are coming together. Anyway, I will see you guys next Wednesday.